Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm talking about whether or not it's worth it to purchase the M4a4 Howl in 2020, aka the only contraband weapon skin in CSGO. So the story of the Howl dates back to June of 2014. This skin became the only weapon skin to be granted the contraband item quality. Valve had to change the original design to avoid copyright issues with the original artist, but the new version of the skin honestly looks a lot better. Contraband basically means you can't unbox it in cases, and you also cannot trade up for it. So basically, there was a limited number of these things unboxed in the short amount of time that it was unboxable in the Huntsman case. With such a limited supply and all the publicity it was getting, the demand shot up crazily, and inevitably the price went up as well.
I am inevitable.
Since then, it has arguably become the most coveted and also recognizable skin for its rarity, rich backstory, and most of all, its enormous price tag. As you can see, the price went up drastically since being marked contraband. Field testing condition of this skin used to go for about $35 right before becoming contraband, and it instantly shot up 3 times its initial value. If we look at the StatTrak variant for instance, which is a version that I actually decided to invest in, it did the same thing, going from approximately $125 to $350 in a single day. The Howl has continued to rise in price with each passing year, and the item only keeps on getting rarer and rarer. Whether it's old players leaving the game and never selling their items, swarms of VAC bans, or the growing popularity with CSGO and skin investing, as the game is honestly at record highs right now. It's insane. Anyways, let's get into why I specifically have decided to invest in the skin in 2020. First off, I've always loved the Valve redesign of the skin. I think it looks super nice, and I remember playing in 2014 and seeing a lot of these things at the time. And everyone was talking about this in the game as well. There's a big thing going on, and this was still a time where skins were at their infancy, and nobody really cared or knew about the huge investments that any of this would become. Also, an interesting side note, I looked up this guy who originally created this skin, and he had a Steam group going, he had a YouTube channel with almost 10,000 subscribers. It's kind of funny how if he just changed the design a little bit, he would honestly be fine. He'd be rolling in the dough right now. Probably having a lot of fun gaming maybe, I don't know. When you look at the skin prices on third-party sites, it just continues to go up in price because there's so little of them in existence. This event happened during Operation Phoenix, and the player base at that time was only like 15% of what it is now, and the item had only been in the case for such a short amount of time. I've seen a bunch of old coveted skins continually rising in price, and with how large the player base is and how iconic the rare skin is, I honestly don't see the momentum for this skin stopping anytime soon. Of course, this hype might not last forever. The game's popularity comes and goes, but in general, CSGO has slowly built a player base and has an insanely good track record. And with the surge of content it's continually getting at the moment, I see this game being supported and very popular for a long time.
Shattered web. What? There's a female girl and there's a guy with glasses. They have a fart.
I am.
So out of all the conditions and variants of the Howl, which one is the best to invest in? This can vary, as the price of a StatTrak Howl can be very price volatile. This is because there's such a limited number of supplies that whatever website you use will probably only have a few up for sale, and even then it probably won't have one of each condition, for instance. Especially StatTrak. The people selling these can set whatever price they desire. You could have a guy change the price from $2,000 to $3,000 on a StatTrak Howl, and honestly there's so little of them up for sale that's just a new price. Like, it just instantly changes like that. As far as what I did, I searched for about a month or so to find a StatTrak Howl. They come and go on these sites, and it can be really hard to snag one for a good deal. I looked at all the main secondary market CSGO trading sites, and I came across a StatTrak field tested one for only $13.50 on Loot Bear. I added the money, however when I went to purchase the skin, it was glitched and it wouldn't let me buy it for some reason. And then I had to contact support and they said the skin wasn't even for sale. And like at that point I had already added over $1,000 in credits on the site for no reason. So after days of back and forth with the support people, they finally processed it back to my inventory, but actually took more than $13.50 from my account, so I had to get that refunded as well. But after all that hassle, I finally had myself a Howl. The right way to invest in high tier skins like this is to be really patient and find yourself a good deal. I've managed to score some crazy deals before, such as a StatTrak butterfly knife fade, and there's always someone wanting to cash out fast. I see a lot of YouTubers recommending to invest in skins at a certain time period, but when it comes to high tier skins, they work a little bit differently. For instance, Steam sales do not really affect them. If someone is able to buy a $1,000 skin, they generally don't have to sell it off to get a $10 game on sale for Steam. There is some market trends they follow, like around summer, prices tend to dip, because there's just simply not as many people playing the game, and even if they are rich, if they're not playing the game, they're probably not going to be investing in skins. Something else that comes to mind is when Valve decides to make a pretty big change, like when it decided to remove gambling websites, and when it banned op skins. The market reacted pretty drastically to both of these things. Technically, these websites were going against Valve's terms of service, so it was kind of to be expected. But also, they do some other random stuff, like they just removed key trading recently, which honestly doesn't make that much sense when you really think about it. So that's something to keep in mind. So you may be asking, what about the risk involved in having over $1,000 in a video game? Well, that is an important factor to consider, honestly. At any second, Valve could technically ruin trading, and your account could be hacked, etc. As with anything, only invest when you can afford to lose. However, I do not see any of this stuff likely happening. As with any investment, there's always a risk involved. Honestly though, I do really see the Howl still being a very good investment, especially if you can find a good deal on it, or find a StatTrak for not too high of a price. Another huge advantage of this skin as well is you can flex on it with the skin in game, and you won't have to feel so guilty because you can justify this, because technically it's an investment. Another option is renting the skin out to people on Loot Bear and earning 3% of its value each month, which makes this skin investment even more profitable. For instance, I have multiple op skins and I rent out my op Asimov and my op Lightning Strike because I already have a different op equipped to my inventory. So I'm just earning money from stuff that will be collecting dust in my inventory, and it's some pretty nice passive income. I have a link in the description for Loot Bear where we can both get rewarded when you use it, in case that is something you're interested in. I hope you enjoyed my first real CSGO video. I'm going to have a lot more coming in the future, so I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe and like the video. I've been investing in CSGO for about 7-ish years now, in some way or another, so I have a lot of stuff to teach you guys. And with that, I'm out. Peace, guys.